Minister Bowen has said this will save money at the petrol pump. Minister Bowen has said this will give more choice about the cars we buy. Minister Bowen has said this will reduce transport emissions. But, Deputy Speaker, what we need to look at is all of the things that Minister Bowen has not said.
And the member for Hughes.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise to speak in support of this matter of public importance brought by the member for Fairfax. This government's family car and ute tax is making the cost of living crisis so much worse for Australians. Deputy Speaker, Labor has introduced something it is calling the new vehicle efficiency standard. This is nothing but a new tax, and to encourage apparently the sale of cleaner cars. And this has been the brainchild, the idea of Minister Catherine King and Minister Bowen. Minister Bowen has said this will save money at the petrol pump. Minister Bowen has said this will give more choice about the cars we buy. Minister Bowen has said this will reduce transport emissions. But, Deputy Speaker, what we need to look at is all of the things that Minister Bowen has not said. Minister Bowen has not said that most Australians won't be able to afford the new cars. Minister Bowen has not done his work, he's not got across the detail, and he has not listened to industry, and he hasn't advised Australians about how much more these new cars will cost. And Minister Bowen should say this. Minister Bowen should be honest, Deputy Speaker, because we know from experience that Australians do listen to Minister Bowen. They certainly listened to him in the federal election campaign of May 2019. And at that stage, Minister Bowen, as he now is, almost became our federal treasurer. And at that time, when he took a tax policy that Australians did not like, he turned around and said to Australians, "You don't like our policies, don't vote for us." And, Deputy Speaker, Australians listened to Minister Bowen. They did not vote for it. And once Australians get across the detail of this policy, they similarly will not like it. Deputy Speaker, this proposed vehicles efficiency standard is simply a tax on family cars, utes, cars that Australians love. And as usual, with this government, the devil is in the detail. And yesterday, in question time, when those on our side asked questions of Minister Bowen, trying to get him to get across the detail, we saw some ashen-faced performances when he could not or would not answer questions about what this great big tax would mean for Australian families, for Australian tradies, for all of those who work in the construction industry who need their utes as a primary work tool for them to get to work and for them to take their tools onto their jobs. So when we look into the detail of this great big new tax, Deputy Speaker, what we see is this new tax by Labor, could drive up vehicle prices by up to $25,000 on SUVs and four-wheel drives, and up to about $16,000 more for utes. This includes $11,000 more for a Toyota RAV4, one of Australia's most favourite cars, $25,000 for a Toyota Land Cruiser, $17,000 more for a Ford Ranger, $14,000 more for a Toyota Hilux, over $13,000 more for an Isuzu D-Max. And, Deputy Speaker, this is in the middle of a cost of living crisis. And I was present in this chamber when I heard the member for Bean talking to me about the cost of living crisis and what this means for women of Australia. Well, I can tell the member for Bean that I know exactly what this will mean for women of Australia who are often transporting their kids around in four-wheel drives and SUVs. So this will have a direct impact on women of Australia. And it will have a direct impact in my electorate of Hughes, where I have over 10,000 technicians and tradies and over 4,000 labourers. And those almost 15,000 people in my electorate, Deputy Speaker, will now be faced with spending a whole lot more money for utes, for their work vehicles, Deputy Speaker. And that's not to mention, with all respect to the member for Bean, all of the many women in my electorate, the many mums who cart their children around, and the many other people in my electorate who simply love their SUVs. So, Deputy Speaker, to conclude, as always, devil is in the detail with any policies like these that are announced by Labor. Minister Bowen loves a big headline, but when you get down into the devil of the detail of all of this is another great big tax from this government inflicted on Australians during the middle of a cost of living crisis.